Hey guys, what's up? It's Jesse here, and in this video, I'm gonna go over the advice that my clients pay me thousands of dollars per month for. And in this short video, I'm gonna give you the playbook. It's a playbook they use to build authority, get daily leads, and sign high ticket clients on LinkedIn. So if you watch till the end of the video, you know exactly what to do. I'm gonna give you the 3-step process that I advise to all of my clients. You know exactly what things to implement in order to grow your business using LinkedIn. So most of the coaches, most of the consultants, and most of the agency owners that I speak to on a daily basis, they understand very much the importance and the potential of LinkedIn. However, due to the lack of understanding the platform, having the switching algorithm, and just this general lack of knowledge about the platform, makes them just put off on LinkedIn too long. So most people, they wait 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, or even never start, and that's just huge, huge loss because especially if you're a coach, consultant, or an agency owner, your target audience is on LinkedIn. So let me start with step number 1 in this playbook. So the first thing that you want to do in order to build authority and get more leads from LinkedIn is you want to think about your positioning. So 3 things are important here. So the first thing that's important in terms of your positioning on LinkedIn is obviously your LinkedIn profile. And we can spend 4 hours talking about this topic, but I'm not going to do that because it's not that complicated as most people make it be. It's usually just a very visual or a very simple display or showcase of who you help, what you help them with, and how you do it. So in terms of optimizing your LinkedIn profile, make sure that it's very clear who you help. So what is your target audience? Secondly, what problem do you help them solve? And thirdly, how do you solve this problem? So is that through coaching? Is that through a program? Do you have a done for you service? Do you have a course? Do you have a low ticket offer? So what are the things there, right? So in terms of optimizing your LinkedIn profile, do not overcomplicate it. Like I said, who do you help? What problem do you solve? And how do you solve this problem? So that's the first thing. In terms of the second part of your positioning, it's of course comes down to your offer. And this is a term that gets thrown around on the internet quite a lot. But the very simple and I would say the easiest explanation of an offer is basically the promise you make to your target audience. So, what is the transformation you're selling? What is the transformation you sell to help someone from A to B? Like I said in my examples, I help people to get to $10,000 plus per month on LinkedIn. So that's the promise I make to my target audience. I'm like, hey, I help you from inconsistent revenue to consistent 10K plus on LinkedIn. That's the transformation I'm selling, right? So again, people can overcomplicate offers all the time, but if I were you, just make it very clear. What's the transformation that you're selling? What's the promise that you make to your target audience? And last but not least, in terms of your positioning, it's what I like to call is the one of one method. So, what is something that's uniquely you? And it sounds maybe sounds like woohoo, but there are certain things that you have that only you can say. Think of unique expertise, unique experiences, unique mechanisms, unique case studies. You and I can both talk about the same thing, but I have different experience to bring to the table or different insights, and so do you, right? You have client results, you have projects you worked on, but at the same time you have personal interests. So what are all the things that make you you? Because especially with ChatGPT, everyone these days can write very generic how-to content, right? I can use ChatGPT, for example, to write content about being a dentist, but I've never been a dentist, so I cannot infuse personal experiences. So it's a simple example, right? But that's what I advise you to do. So when you think about your positioning, make a list of all the things that make you you, because the more you can do that, the more you can infuse all these unique elements in your content and in your positioning, the more you set yourself apart. So that's the first part, positioning yourself. Second part in terms of getting more clients out of LinkedIn and building authority is obviously content. So what do I mean with content? Well, content is basically the vehicle you use to get attention, right? Because without attention, no one knows that you exist. So one of the main things that you want to do is you want to showcase your authority, your credibility, showcase your value. So you want to like showcase or like basically like prove to your target market that you're worth listening to. And the beautiful thing here is that you want to, of course, like you want to create content, but the better thing to think about is like, okay, how can you show that instead of just telling them? So with showing them, I mean like, how can you infuse your personal story, your personal experiences, your client results? Like, how can you just show things through video, to images, through your content, instead of just telling someone what they need to do? It's a much better way of like, hey, how you can use your content to show your target audience how you've solved that problem for someone else, right? So that's where content becomes so important. The other thing here is that if you are consistent about LinkedIn, which I definitely encourage you doing it, because I think that's one of the reasons, of course, you watch this video, but you need to understand that the majority of LinkedIn is a silent majority. So most people on LinkedIn, they're just scrolling the feed, they're lurking in the shadows, and some of the statistics even say that less than 1% of the total users, which is over 1 billion users these days, post actively. And the rest of these people, they're just scrolling on the feed and they're just waiting for that piece of content, hopefully your piece of content, to draw them out of the shadows, either on your profile or in your inbox, and then you can of course start the conversations with them. But that's a discussion for a different day. So what you want to do with your content, like I said, you want to speak to their pain points, their obstacles, their challenges, their desires, like all these things that your target audience wants to either solve or wants to grow in, right? So all these things are important there. And last but not least, in terms of your content, something that you want to like optimize for is consistency. Like, as you're a service provider of some form, like I said, if you're a coach, consultant, or agency owner, it's way better and way more profitable to focus on consistent LinkedIn content instead of trying to, let's say, gamify and trying to optimize for virality. Like, I can tell you from my own experience that I've gone viral many times, and it doesn't bring in the revenue or the clients that you think it might do. I have had posts with, like, let's say 1% of the engagement or of the reach of a viral post, but it brought in like $10,000. And I've seen my clients do this over and over again. Like, I have so many like proof and evidence of like people within our private community that have like a post with like 3 or 4 likes and like 200 impressions, but I booked 2 sales calls out of it. Or a post with 1 like and that converted into a client that pays them $5,000 a month. So it's not about the total number of people that see your post, it's about who sees your post. And of course, that comes down to A, your positioning, and B, of course, your content. Because the more you're able to speak to your specific target audience, your specific client profile, the more you understand like their psyche, like I said, their challenges, their struggles, their opinions, their limiting beliefs, etc. The more you can just use it in your content, the more you can show them that you understand. So for example, I know that one of the biggest concerns or one of the biggest bottlenecks from my ideal client is that they try to post on LinkedIn, they try to be consistent, but every day they wake up and they are like, shit, what do I need to post about? So they start with a blank page. And that alone creates so much like resistance to write content every day, because every day they have to start from scratch. So something that I help our clients with is like, okay, how can we systemize your ideation? How can we systemize your content creation process? For example, I help our clients build a custom GPT, so an AI bot inside ChatGPT that basically they set up once, takes like 45 minutes to an hour, and they can literally just run it, and like in 5 minutes they can spin out all the posts. So I'm just helping them to never start from a white page anymore. By the way, if you need any help with all of this, all the things that I'm talking about, if you need any help with LinkedIn, creating more content, and understanding how you can sign high ticket clients through the platform, check out the link in the description. It takes you to a page with a short video where I'm just explaining how we help and who we help. Book a call on the page, and then I'm happy to chat with you about how we can help you with LinkedIn. So with that being said, let's get back to the video, because content is of course super important. Like I said, content we use to get attention from the outside world, because you can have the best product in the world, you can have the best service, the best results, but if you don't talk about it, if you don't use content to attract people and to get attention, no one knows you're honest, no one knows you exist, right? So that's one. But the other part is like DMing, like sending messages and doing outreach, because content alone does not sell you or your services, right? Like, it's a fallacy to think that, okay, I'm just posting, I'm getting likes, and that instantly transforms into money in my Stripe account. That's not how it works. So what you want to do is you want to use messaging on LinkedIn to start the conversations with your target audience. So where content is like the bait on your rod, on your fishing rod, what you do with like direct messaging is like you reel them in and you start the conversation. So the goal here is to really understand the person on the other side. So what I mean with that is that when I post content about, let's say, client acquisition on LinkedIn, I get likes, I get comments, and I get people checking out my profile. Those are all triggers that I see as buying signals. Perhaps not directly, but what I do is like I reach out to all these people and I start the conversation to understand who they are, where they're at, and if they have a problem that I can help them solve, right? Of course, within the realms of LinkedIn. I'm not pitching them straight away. I'm not like, hey, here's my booking link, book it, please, right? Now, that's not how it works. Like, you're not proposing to a girl you meet on the first date, right? You need to build rapport. You need to have a conversation. You need to understand their values, their mission, their goals, their personality, and all these things, right? And of course, signing clients is not as, I would say, extensive as finding someone to marry with, but the same principle applies, right? You're not proposing on a first date, neither will you pitch slap in the first message, because that's like a very simple no-go. Like, to not do that is already a win. So the other thing is, in terms of messaging, you want to engage quickly. So like momentum is time is the killer of all momentum, is what they say in sales, right? So whenever you have engagement on your post, you have people checking out your profile as a result of your content, reach out immediately. Hey George, thanks for checking out my profile. Are you here for the content, or is getting clients on LinkedIn one of your main goals? That's what I do. I reach out, I'm like, hey, are you here for the content, or are you here for getting clients? And I know I can help them both, solve both problems, because it's a very simple question, right? I'm not pitching anything. I'm like, hey, here's my booking link, join my program, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, I'm trying to understand why the person engaged with my profile or with my content, and based on that, we have a conversation. And the good news here is always that you want to personalize the message. Like I said, always use the first name, but also just acknowledge like how you got in touch with them, right? Is it a like? Is it a comment? Did they check out your profile? And you really want to make it about them. Like I said, don't pitch yourself and your services straight away, but try to understand them. Like, what made them engage with your post? Like, what stood out to them? Like, what made them like come out of the shadow and engage with your post or check out your profile, right? And like I said, I cannot stress this enough. Don't pitch in the first message. Like, just do not, if there is one thing that you can take away from this video, is that do not pitch slap, because that will just put you in a bucket of where people do not trust you, and they might even like report you or spam you, and like, this person just straight away went in for the sale. No, just start the conversation and go from there. So in terms of like having the conversation, like I said, it is almost like dating. You just want to figure out, okay, who am I talking to on the other side of the table? It might be through a screen, but like, do I understand this person? Do they have goals that I can align with? Of course, with dating, you don't have to solve their problem, which we're doing on LinkedIn, because if you're a service provider, you want to figure out if the lead you're speaking to has a desire that you can fulfill or a problem that you can solve, right? But again, it all starts from just a conversation, and it's not a monologue, it's a dialogue. And then last but not least, in terms of messaging and DMing, what's super important on LinkedIn is following up, because most likely you are speaking to a target audience which is busy, either people in the 9 to 5 or people that are high executives or C-suites or whatever not. So if someone is not replies to your first message and you think, okay, they ghost me because they do not like me or it's personal, X, Y, and Z, I can tell you this: from sending thousands and thousands and thousands of messages, making multiple sales, six figures through LinkedIn DMs alone, no sales calls, that's just not the case. Like, people are just busy. People are just busy with their life, their business. Like, I don't know about your LinkedIn inbox, but mine, it's like, it's a mess because the UI doesn't really like show how to like prioritize messages, etc. But that's a story for a different day. So what I want you to do is to follow up consistently and just check in with people if they still need help, or you can still like book them on a call or something like that. By the way, if you need any help with all these things, like setting up the content, setting up your profile, setting up your messaging, book a call with the link in the description. But this is basically it, guys. This is the playbook. So hopefully that's been helpful. Make sure to implement it, and then I will see you in the next video.